Back again. You already know who it is. It's your boy King Jimmy, the king of the Blackxpats. I got a new episode for y'all today. This is a topic y'all been hitting me about. I finally took the time to do it. And today we're going to be discussing what do you need to know if you're thinking about moving to Puerto Rico. A lot of people have been asking, so here's the information. I even got a friend right here with me to ask the questions because he's thinking about moving. So I figured we might as well let the horse speak from their own mouth and give us the questions, and I'll give the best answers I can give. So I hope y'all enjoy. And as always, before we do that, you already know what you need to do. You need to subscribe, like, comment, share. We're almost at 600 subscribers. We need 400 more. Let's get it, shorty. Peace.
For sure, man. Good looks. Yeah, my name is Cornelius. I'm from Chicago, Oak Park to be exact. Live in DC over there in school over there. Recently in PR, and I was talking to my mans, and I'm like, I'm thinking about going over there full time. So I'm trying to get the ins and outs. Got some friends, but spending a week over there is not like living. So I'm trying to get the ins and outs, and try to figure out what are the do's and don'ts of going to PR. So yeah, man. I think it's interesting too, because we don't really think about going to PR. As far as like people from the States that aren't from Puerto Rico. Like my family's not Puerto Rican, so we don't really think about that. So it's like a foreign world.
Yeah, it's like a foreign world within a familiar world to an extent.
Exactly. So yeah, we can get it cracking. What was your motivation going to PR? Do you have any type of roots there? Or friends from college? Or?
No, I do actually have a couple friends from college. One of my best friends was Puerto Rican. But no, I'm not of the Puerto Rican descent. I'm just black, regular black as I call it. But my motivation, my motivation for coming here was I work as an IT consultant with a company with multiple different locations across the country and in a few foreign countries as well. And my time was coming up to move. And I said, instead of them putting me somewhere like Montana or South Dakota, I better ask for where I want to go. And we had just gotten Puerto Rico as a site, and I love Latinas, I love Latinos, and I figured this is the perfect time to mix them all together, be a nice transition from Oregon, get that tropical vibe, and then at the same time learn some Spanish so that I can make myself a little bit more marketable and just kick back with them Caribbean things, Wagwan.
All right, yeah, that's real. I was thinking about that too, like what U.S. jobs or jobs over here in the States they might have over there in PR. I'm sure there's some carryover too. But speaking, you're not from PR, your family's not from over there. Do you need Spanish to live over there?
So, that's actually a perfect question because that was one of my fears when I requested this site. My PM literally only responded. He said, "Do you speak Spanish?" I said, "No, but I'll learn." He didn't respond. 2 weeks later, he's like, "You're going to PR in a month." So I was like, okay, I guess I don't have to know. But in my experience being here, you can get by without speaking any Spanish. You'll naturally want to adapt it and learn it as you're here. But yeah, especially where most people are going to live, there are going to be plenty of English speakers around you. So you won't be forced or required to speak Spanish to get around. But when you really want to fully immerse yourself in the Puerto Rican experience, it's going to benefit you to know some Spanish at least.
See, you know what? Like, most of my friends that are Puerto Rican here don't speak Spanish. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they don't really, I guess you might not consider them like Puerto Rican in the sense like they're from the island, but you know how that shit go. People born in New York, raised over in PR, people raised in PR, or born and raised in New York.
Yeah, you spend all your summers on the island or a month every year.
Like these dudes don't even speak Spanish, you know what I mean? Like, other Latin American countries, like kids usually speak,
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's a little different culture over there. So that kind of creates some nuance. It helps, Americans go over there, the people from the States go over there and adapt quicker.
Right, and speaking to that same point, we have like we're heavily American influenced in the Spanish here, so there's a lot of like Americanized words like hangeo, like it's just a hangout. A lot of different words. I can't think of them when you're on pressure time, but a lot of the words we just have Americanized. Chileando, chilling. Yeah.
I know you had a different way of getting in there from your job here, back in the States, and you guys getting like a location over in the island. But how about someone that doesn't have any, way of going over there work wise, and right now, how should they look for a job over there?
So I would say COVID's gonna put a little hamper in it, but even still, when I'm driving around, when I'm going down the tourist Americanized areas for the gringos, as they say, there's plenty of signs saying help wanted. They are taking a lot of service jobs like waiter, waitress, things like that. I do know construction business is doing a pretty good job right now. They're booming. Anytime I hit up my construction guy, he too busy for me. Um, so that industry is booming as well. And then, so there are job opportunities in the more professional fields, the medical fields as well. But in my experience, they get paid a little lower than back stateside. So my biggest recommendation would be to have a job that you can transfer over here, or yeah, if you can transfer, that's perfect. Or if you can work remotely and still do your job, that makes this even better because you're still living on that American salary, and you get the benefits of some of the cheaper cost of living or just the better location. And I mean, location. Ask a realtor.
Yeah. Yeah. You might want to tell the people how much you're getting paid over here for these service jobs and how that's looking.
The minimum. So minimum wage, they're talking about changing it, but I think it's around 750. So you're not gonna get anything too much higher than that. You'll be getting probably minimum wage unless you're at a nicer restaurant. You may get in that $10 range. Construction, that's all on the project, but they seem to make pretty decent money. And then I want to say professional jobs, programmers and stuff like that. I think they're in that 35 to 50 range, which is a little lower than the States, but it's a good wage here. So weigh that.
Yeah, no, that's real. I was talking to my boys there. We were kind of chopping it up off camera. My guy's a college graduate, got some work experience, and they still offer him like $8 an hour. You know what I mean? So he had to leave the island. But if you, like you said, like you come over here with your own job, or you can transfer, or you can work remotely, and that's love right there. And I feel like that cost of living might, do you some justice over here too, as far as the rent,
Right.
or better buying.
I would recommend that to any Blackxpat or expat. I mean, if you can be in Colombia or if you can be in Portugal, but you're still getting American dollars and you're getting that money, it makes that transition so much easier because then maybe you don't have to work while you're over there. You can really just have your savings, or you can have your income coming in support your whole lifestyle instead of having to work on the side. But likewise, when I've thought of doing expat stuff, I was like, it'd probably be dope to like work at a restaurant or a bar when you first get there, just because you have that interaction with people and you'll probably meet some people. But in terms of need to work to make money, it'd be nice if you could just work with on American salaries.
Yeah. So even just on that subject about meeting people, when I came here, I had some connections from the States, folks over like family from over there. So I met people through that. But I feel like without that, or working with someone like you do, working with a company with Puerto Ricans, it'll be hard to meet like locals.
But so speaking to that question, it can be tricky to meet people just because you may have that language barriers, that mental, even if it's not actually there, mentally blocking you from just striking up a conversation with a stranger. You may be thinking, oh, is he gonna understand me? And that could keep you from going into that. But you'll see a lot of Americans and tourists. There's a huge government working population here. A lot of people that do consulting and stuff that live down here. A decent little young pro environment. So you'll easily be able to meet people. It's just how far you're going to put yourself out there. Now, I will 100% agree that if you know someone, it's so much easier to get into social circles and one of the benefits to kind of the bureaucracy and the informalness here is knowing people has a lot of power here. People you know can get a lot of things done for you. So you do want to network, you do want to meet people, you do want to get in those circles so that you can fully experience everything.
It will. So you've been there for, you said about 3-4 years?
Yeah.
3-4 years. So when you first got there, you rented apartments, I assume. Do you recommend renting over buying or buying over renting?
Ooh, that's a good question. So both. The economy and the housing market is not strong here, and I'm only going to assume it's going to continue to go down. So waiting doesn't hurt, but there's a lot of good properties that you could get into now and a lot of upside. But I would say you should rent at least a year or two. You want to, because you know you're going to come, you might want to ball out that first year, have the dope apartment, be in the thick of things. Then the next year you may want to say, all right, let me go find a new neighborhood or see a different area to have a more complete picture of your options. And then from there, I feel like you can make an educated guess on where you would like to buy. Because you don't want to buy in a neighborhood that's sounded cool. That's not a permanent neighborhood, right? So you should just flush that out with a live in one, see how it goes, explore around, and then move into that buying stage. I would think that'll come out the best. You'll know where you are, you know where you want to be, and you won't necessarily resent maybe picking a bad decision. So that'd be my recommendation in terms of if you're going to use this house to live in. If you're looking for something more investment, like you're trying to have houses that you may Airbnb and rent out, or multi-family houses, you can take advantage of the FHA and other tax benefits that we have in PR, such as Act 20 and Act 22. One of which is in regards to individual investors coming here that are trying to invest in the economy and employ Puerto Ricans. So to that extent, you could buy a multi-family house or buy a few different condos that you're going to Airbnb out, and then say you hire a PR property manager, or you hire the cleaning lady is Puerto Rican. So now you can take advantage of those tax benefits as well as making your money. And those tax benefits also come with other things, such as you'll pay no income tax, no capital gains taxes, which are big, especially since you'd be making capital gains, which is also why crypto life is serious out here. So if you Dogecoining, this is a place to cash out at least. Yeah, and then the other act is more of a corporate side. If you're bringing businesses to do export services, if you're trying to import, export, you're trying to do big corporate businesses here, they'll do, once again, tax benefits for capital gains and business income write-offs and corporate income tax. So just look into that. I'll put a link in the bio for the real details on those tax benefits. But those are just a couple of the big ones. We also have ones for agriculture and tourism, where you can basically get the government to give you tax credits to pay like 50% of the cost to start up, and things like that. So really, I would say look into it, because if you are in business in some of these fields, or you're interested in getting in some of these fields, there's the ability for the government to help you do that and for you to kind of get kick-started into that industry. And then on top of that, you could pay less taxes, because at the end of the day, when you actually are making money, most people don't want to pay them crazy taxes.
It's real. You don't. I mean, you know what? It's so interesting too, because the way we're talking about this, becoming a bonus. No, because you can say you're going to Puerto Rico, like you're not immigrating to Puerto Rico. Like that's a Commonwealth, like as a part of the U.S. But
Right.
you have to prove that you're a resident there. You just can't claim these benefits just saying like, oh yeah, I'm over here for a little bit. But we'll probably put a link down. You put a link down that'll show like some of the necessities for becoming, a bona fide resident.
Bona fide tax. The bare minimum is you gotta have the bare minimum for tax to be a bona fide tax Puerto Rican resident is you're gonna have to have your at least 6 months or 183 days, I want to say, that you're on the island. So you'll meet people living that lifestyle too that are here 6 months on and 6 months off. What also comes with that is when you are a bona fide PR resident, you do not have to pay the federal income taxes. You just pay a state local tax. Now, if you're not bona fide, you'll be subject to both the federal tax and then a state tax as well.
Yeah, that's what it is, y'all. So make sure you get up on game on that. That's something big. A lot of these YouTubers are moving to PR.
Yeah,
it's
the
like
Logans or the Pauls,
yeah,
whatever.
Pauls and shit.
Logan Jakes, the Jake Paul Logans.
People are not really a fan of that, but they're bringing money to the island. Bringing attention to the island, which is a good thing.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, bringing money, and somehow you get me a job. You're also opening my eyes as a local to crypto and how I can make money off of crypto. So you've just paid me, and you've given me an avenue to acquire wealth. So it could be a win-win.
That's real. So yeah, for sure. So where were you? We talked about apartments, houses, and cars. Where will you look for that in PR? How will you find those?
So I'll give you that. It seems a little two-pronged. I can tell you where to look, and then also geographically where to look. So your number one winner chicken dinner, which you need to use for anything you want to buy firsthand, you need to go to Clasificados online. I'll link it down below because that is the goal. That's the Midas touch. You can get apartments there. You can buy houses there. Any type of goods you want. If you need a good doctor, a lawyer, etc., etc. It's like a souped up Craigslist that's legit. Let's put it that way. And they don't sell girls on there, so it's souped up Craigslist. That's legit. But it has everything. That's your number one. After that, you can probably use Facebook Marketplace. That'll probably get you where you want to go. And then tied with Facebook Marketplace, or better, would be word of mouth. So that inner network that you have. In terms of where to look when you are coming out here, I would say, especially as I was stating, that first year, you're probably going to want to be in the main heart of things. You're going to want to have all the glitz and glamour that come with PR. So in that case, you'd probably want to be in Old San Juan. It's not my favorite, but it's nice. It's nice for newbies. Condado or Isla Verde. And that area, you're right, kind of beachfront. It's going to give you that Miami vibe. You're on Ocean Ave. You're in the heart of the tourist and the nicer area. That's a nice area. You're going to pay a little more. You're probably going to be paying 12 to 18. Maybe a 2-bedroom, you might hit 2,000. But it's not crazy depending where you're from. If you're from DC, that's not a bad price. If you're not, that's a little steep, right? Then after that, I recommend that for the new people and people that don't have Spanish. If you have some Spanish and you're feeling ready, like you can be in a little more dense place where you're not going to always hear English, you should look at that Santurce, Miramar, and like Atore area, which is a little bit more city center. Those areas are great. You're going to find good options, good food, cheaper food. You'll find more Puerto Ricans. You'll be more in the heart of the city, the real deal of PR. And you'll be able to pay under 1,000 there. Like you'll be able to economically live, and you can take it to nice places that'll probably still be 1,000 to 1,200. So it's just more bang for your buck, and you get city views. I like city views, so personally, I prefer those over the ocean view, but they even have views of the lagoon, so it's a good option, and they're trying to build that area up. So I guess tying back again, if we're thinking investment, that is a good area to be because they're trying to improve that area as well. So long-term, 10 years, that property value should be up.